Hey everybody, we're back. It's Money Moves, and as always, we are going live and having some fun with money. Right? Whole point of this show is for you to learn how to make it, how to save more of it, how to grow it, and how to protect it. And that's actually what we're going to be talking about today. But before we really jump into that, did you have a good weekend, Wendy?
I did. Great weekend.
Good deal.
Relaxing. No social media. I took a social media break.
Nice. Yeah, you need to unplug from that crap and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not crap.
Yeah.
Stuff every once in a while. And it's it's fall's here. I love this time of year. Fall's one of my favorite seasons. But football, you got the crisp in the air, leaves are turning. I don't know if you got leaves where you're at. I grew up in San Diego, so we didn't get a whole lot of leaf turning there, but moved out to the Midwest now, down in the southeast, and it's great.
The best is
go ahead. I'm sorry.
The New England area. A couple years ago, I drove from New York to Boston in fall.
Yeah, it's gorgeous time of year. Gorgeous time of year. Everybody's starting to think about what's going on. How do they do this year? Getting ready for the next year, kind of planning. Financial plan is part of that as well. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Is that last part, that protection piece. So do us a favor, click and subscribe. Click that little bell below too, so you can get our alerts. We do a video every week. Let your friends know, hey, they're going to teach you how to protect your empire. So we're going to get started here in just a few short seconds. So we are back and we are live, and we're talking about protecting your income, not just your income, your empire, excuse me. So I don't know, Wendy, if you've been kind of following the markets and stuff. I'm kind of a nerd about that. I haven't seen it today, but yesterday was the fifth straight day that the Dow opened at a loss, predicting a loss. Mm-hmm. So we're not in sunshine and lollipops and unicorns time right now. So
right. Yeah.
I don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah. I learn by listening to other people. I don't watch it myself particularly. But I have been paying more attention to costs. We've talked about this, but costs going up and all that. I had a conversation with someone this morning that was talking about a bag of pretzels and, how expensive the pretzels are getting. And so with that, I was thinking, it's important to protect our money and know how to use it right. Right. Yep. And prepare for those rainy days or for the market crashing or whatever. So,
yeah. Well, I remember, I was at an event last weekend and went into Walmart to grab some supplies, and don't hate on me if you hate Walmart. It was convenience. But went back to grab some eggs, and they have those big, 60 egg cartons. When you have big parties and stuff like that or whatever. And I remember I bought one of those a couple years ago, and I was so impressed. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is 60 eggs for $5. Yeah. Those same 60 eggs today are $13. Yeah. So almost 300% increase in price. And it's just so you got it coming at you from that end. Mm-hmm. You look at your income, people are like, okay, companies are laying off. So you're worried about your income and things like that. And then also, all the work you've put in the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years on your 401k, 403b, IRA, and stuff like that. It's it's going down. I'm not doing anything wrong. It's stuff that's happening, outside of my control. And, you're starting to hear the whole black swan money or black swan event. That's why we call this black swan money, as we help you, teach you how to grow and protect your stuff, even when the economy and the financial environments are getting a little crazy. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. We've been talking about growth and things like that, and that's part of it. But it's really, and I hate this because I hear this a lot from traditional advisors out there. Well, market loss is just part of the equation. Right. Right? You're going to lose money, and that is total BS, folks. You don't have to. It's total BS. Same thing about your job, right? So many of us out there in the working class, middle class, call it whatever you want. Look at building an income. Well, it's so hard to make ends meet because, I only make X per hour. So right. let's start there. How do I change that? How do I protect my income? Well, first of all, you want to make sure you're protecting your income stream through having more than one stream.
Yep.
Right. And what do I mean by that? I mean, Wendy, you want to kind of chime in there? I mean, you're kind of the queen bee income streams. So
Yeah. Well, and it's, something I'm really thankful for right now, right, is I have several income streams. I think technically like 8, but some of them are super small. So I would say 3 or 4 large ones. And so what I love about that is, I have one of them that's kind of going backwards right now, and is somewhat out of my control. Some of it's in my control, somewhat out of my control. One industry I'm in, we're kind of seeing a big lull across the industry. And I'm thankful that I have another stream of income that has been kicking butt because it's balancing out that income loss over here. And so, the worst thing I've seen people do is put all their eggs in one basket, whether that be a full-time job or the industry I've been in for the last 9 years, network marketing. People leave their corporate job and put all their eggs in that basket, that this network marketing business is going to be everything. And, for a few people it is, but it's never guaranteed income. And so, and I put all my eggs in the corporate basket and then got laid off twice. Right. And so, it's so important to have and build strong, not just little piddly stuff, but strong multiple streams of income. And it's really not that hard to do. There's so many different ways you can monetize your own genius, create online businesses, plug into something that's, a plug and play business, Amazon stores, doing what we do, finding a network marketing business,
programs,
Yeah, there's a ton.
Yeah. The key to that is, do a little bit every day, not trying to do big things. You don't have to have big changes, but a little bit of time every day. Make sure you're working with, a good product or products, right? Make sure you're working with a team and leader that has integrity and that's also going to take the time to teach you how to do the things, not just throw you in the ocean and swim. But, I started what I do today, the planning aspect of what I do today, I started while I had a day job, right? And I was working 60, 70 hours and, oh man, I don't have time for this. I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, dude, I gave up TV and started with, 10 hours a week. And now I'm making way more than I did at my day job back in the day. And, it just took a little bit of time. Right. And then but I didn't stop there. And so many of us get complacent and it's like, our thermostat gets to 70 degrees. Like, oh, I made it now. You don't know what's around the corner, right? That's why you never, like you said, want to put your eggs in one basket, have multiple streams. So start a second one or start a third one, right? When I first had my job, I looked at what I'm doing now as a parachute in case I got laid off again, because I've been laid off 3 times. And I'm like, I don't ever want to be that dependent on any one source of income again. But on the flip side of that too, even if you are like, a practitioner, like a doctor or something like that, you need some type of disability protection. What happens if, your hands get injured or something like that, if you're a chiropractor or a dentist or something like that, and all of a sudden that income just dries up. You're not dead, but, you still are there and stuff like that, but you can't do what you did. And, protecting, using that disability income and stuff like that. And, our company does that. A lot of companies do, but so many people don't have it. They've got short-term disability or long-term disability if they've got a W-2, but so many entrepreneurs out there just, it'll be all right. It'll work out. Well, overnight. And then even what you were talking about earlier, putting all your eggs in one basket in MLM. And I've seen heard leaders talking about, oh, burn your boats. You should put everything in this. And and I get why they're doing that. But I don't know that it's necessarily the right advice. You look at, and I'm not going to name the company, but it was a health supplement company a few years ago. I knew some people, and I know you did as well, that were making some pretty significant money on not just selling the product, but the business they had built, right? Training other, independent contractors and things like that. They changed their comp plan literally overnight. And people that were living a certain lifestyle had racked up debt, things like that, because they didn't do a holistic approach on their wealth building, were left like, oh my gosh, what do we do now, in panic mode. And again, just like you're going to diversify your portfolio, diversify your income streams and then protect it as well. So, how do I protect my income? Number one, diversify your income, have multiple streams coming in. So that way, if one dries up, you still got money coming in and it gives you time to replace it. Right. Number two, look at, having some disability protection. Okay.
And to your point on the doctors, really quick, I have a lot of friends that do hair or, estheticians or whatever. Like all of that is your hands. and you're trading time for money. And if something happens, and you
Carpal tunnel.
so anyway,
Yeah,
so
no,
protect
that's
that disability is important.
yeah, that's a huge part of it, right? And then what kind of else? Okay, yeah, okay. Well, I get the income component, but what about protecting my business and things like that? Well, you look at setting your own personal protection, because once people think you have money, they're trying to figure out ways to take it from you, right? Whether it's lawsuits or this, that, or the other. So you start looking at okay, how do I protect my empire from that aspect? You start looking at corporate structures and things like that. And I'm not an attorney. This is not legal advice. But it's kind of like, hey, it's common sense, right? If you've got employees, or let's say you've got a carpet, or you do paint, right? And you've got 4 or 5 guys working with you, you throw them in the van and go. You've got some things, you look at, do I need commercial insurance, right? Do I need to protect, if Tony's driving the van and I'm not, is he covered if he hits somebody in my van? Because they're going to come after you. Do I have the appropriate corporate entity set up to protect myself, right? From the legal battle, whether it's, an LLC, and am I running it correctly and things like that. So I don't know if you've ever had anybody that, has been saved by, an LLC or an S corporation, or, has not been saved.
Yeah. Well, I've known some Sue happy people.
They're out there, folks.
And
they don't want to work for money. They want you to work for money, and then they want to take it from you.
Honestly, like there's, certain people I know that are very Sue happy, and they win a lot. And it's it's BS, right? Yeah. But I'm like, that really stinks. Yeah. So you definitely have to be set up. I know I started with basic LLC, but talking to your CPA and your attorney on what's best. But yeah,
exactly.
Very important.
It's a good place to start, but is it the right place for you to start? Who knows? That's why you want to talk to a professional. We've got a video on Build Your Money Team, right? That's part of your money team, right?
Yeah.
Not only showing you how to grow your money, but to protect it.
Yeah. And it's a sad story, but I had a friend in high school. He now speaks publicly about this, but he's my good friend, Derek. Good kid. Was like the least troublemaker of any group that we hung out with, but had a couple beers on spring break, got in a car, and wound up rear-ending somebody, and somebody died in the process. And he went to jail for vehicular homicide. And the worst part of his story, he says, is not what it did to him, but what it did to his family financially. Mm-hmm. Right. So like there's so many things you never know. And because they didn't have their money set up the right way, they were able to sue, and it wasn't his money. Right. It was his parents' money. Yep. And it set them back financially for a long time. I think they're still recovering. And this is 25 years later.
And a great way to protect yourself against that, especially if you've got younger kids, young drivers and things like that. And a lot of property and casualty insurance people won't bring this up to you, as an umbrella policy. Mm-hmm. That is the cheapest form of protection you can have for you and your family. So if you've got a home and auto with ABC company out there or whatever, make sure you ask them about an umbrella policy. And basically, it's a liability policy that you can get for $1 million, $1.5 million, $2 million, whatever. And they'll tell you the right amount for you. And, but it's one of those things that, I think mine is a couple $100. Mm-hmm. And if something happens, I would much rather call the insurance company. Hey, this is what happened. Somebody fell and broke their leg on my part, in my yard or whatever. Let them deal with it. Let their attorneys deal with it, because they're going to protect against that liability policy that I paid a couple $100 for. I have no stress. Right. You may have some other stress tied to it, but same thing with, student drivers and things like that. Mm-hmm. There are Sue happy people out there. Little Johnny is out there at 16, 17, gets in a fender bender because he's texting, and, somebody gets hurt. Guess what? It's not going to stop with getting a ticket and you fixing their car. You're going to have some bills coming due. Yeah. And they may want to, hey, this is a great way for me to retire. I didn't retire. They have a big, nice house because they got your address. They drove by and saw your big, beautiful house. They want a piece of it. Liability protection through an umbrella policy is a great way to do that as well. So there's a lot of inexpensive ways out there. You don't want to go cheap. So many people I see, Wendy, I don't need that. I'm going to go cheap, right? And that cheap ends up, they're trying to save dimes, and it ends up costing them dollars.
Yeah.
You know, I can't stress the number of times I've tried to, work on a project or whatever. So I'll buy the cheap little fixer or whatever, end up replacing it a week later anyway because it was crap.
Right.
And your financial instruments are the same way, right? Not that
Yep.
you need to go out and spend a boatload of money. You don't, but
Yep.
you need to make sure you're talking to a professional that looks at everything holistically. That's why when we do our financial planning, we look at everything holistically, not just how to grow that 401k or that old rollover you got, right? No, it's how do I continue to contribute to build my wealth? How do I make more income, diversify my income? How do I protect that wealth, right? And then how do I pass it on to the next generation, protecting it from taxes, right?
Mhm.
You look at what's going on in the markets, kind of shift gear. I could go on for this for an hour, but looking at 5 days in a row of loss, right? Most of us are like, well, death and
It
taxes,
is
and
what it is.
it is what it is, right? You call, and I guarantee you haven't heard from your advisor if you've got one. They're not calling going, hey, let's do that. But, because most of them do what's called passive money management. I've got such and such management. No, you don't. It's passive money. They check it once a year and then they'll move a little bit. Oh, yeah, well, everybody's losing. It's because that's how everybody does. It's passive. You want active money management, or better yet, get some hedges. There are
Mhm.
actually ways, folks. I've talked about this before, Wendy and I have, that you can actually get market returns through indexing and hedges where you get the market return. But when the market goes down because of your hedge, you don't lose any money.
Yep.
I mean, okay, so that way I'm not going to gain money because the market's down. But when it starts going up again, I don't have to spend the next year or 2 or 3 recapturing losses. I pick up right where I left off.
Yeah.
And so you end up having so much more money in going in. And then just being aware, we've talked about this before, and we talked about a little, I think, in the last couple of episodes about what you don't know can cost you,
Mhm.
right? We're showing businesses right now how to recapture some of those tax dollars through the employee retention credit. If you're a small business owner and you've got W-2 employees full time, you're eligible for up to $26,000 per FTE. And it's to reward you for keeping people employed during COVID. A lot of people don't know about it, or they think, well, I got PPP, I can't do this. Yes, you can.
Mhm.
So it goes back to what you don't know can cost you. And this whole protection aspect, everybody focuses on work hard and make a bunch of money and buy some cool stuff, but they don't look at protecting the empire from those outside, things that can take it away from you. Sue happy people, inflation, market loss,
Mhm.
accidents or whatever, things like that. All these things are trying to take away everything you've built and are going to keep you from having a happy life and a happy retirement.
Mhm.
So I don't know. When you get anything else you want to add to that?
No, I think it's good. It's something that, you don't think about. And like to your point about the price of things, Zig Ziglar, he talks about the price of something may be low, but the cost very high. Right.
Yes.
And, I think that's so many times what we're looking to do. And I've been guilty of it too, right? I'm going to cut corners and pay the lowest price, but then the cost in the long run
Yeah. I mean,
catches up.
stop
Yeah.
looking at cost and look
So,
at value.
yeah.
What am I getting for that dollar? Right?
Yes.
What am I getting for
Yep.
that? And you see that so much when, people
Mhm.
talking about life insurance, especially.
Mhm.
Well, how much can I get for a little? Well,
Yep.
it's I can get $500,000 for $19 on the TV ad. Well, yeah, okay, and good luck getting that money when it actually happens.
Mhm.
And it's not that there's not reputable companies out there, but that's why, again, look for somebody. And we talked about this too. How do I select the right financial coach? Right? Watch that video and get somebody who's going to work with you and work with you
Right.
to build an empire and help you protect an empire, not just make a few bucks and, okay, here's what you do. I'm going to put you in the silver bullet solution. I tell everybody because I'm going to be out on the golf course, right? No,
Right.
that's not who you want to work with. So anyway, hopefully this has helped everybody. Wendy, as always, it was great to see you.
Me too.
I'm excited about 2023. I can't believe we're already going into October. This is
Q4
crazy.
already. I
Yeah,
know.
it's Q4, man. And then we're going to have year end coming right around the corner. It's great. This weekend was beautiful, but I think we're, in the 60s, 70s right now. So fall's definitely approaching here in Tennessee, and I love it. But folks, no rest for the weary, right? You want to make sure you're looking to protect your assets, especially with the craziness we've got in our economy now. If you need some help with us, reach out to us, Wendy Lee Online, Black Swan Money. We're here to help you. Everybody, you talk about the show or mention the show, you get a free financial plan, do something with it or not. That's totally up to you. But at least, stop guessing, stop playing around, get serious, knuckle up and start doing something to make your life different, right?
Absolutely.
Everybody have a great week. And we'll see you next Tuesday on Money Moves. Don't forget, click subscribe, click the bell. The algorithms love it. Give us a thumbs up, like. Everybody have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.